All right, welcome back, y'all. I'm Omi Bell. You're here. Listen, so randomly on the way in this morning, I was listening to the song. I don't know, it randomly popped into my head. The what happens? I used to, like, before I would go into speaking engagements, I would be in the back like blasts in my headphones because it just gets me hyped. So I told Dara to play this morning. All right, here we go. I won't rap it because it has some choice lyrics that may not work for morning radio. Okay. But but I was in the car rapping every word for sure. Oh, by the way, I wanted to say thank you. Shout out to everybody who took off work yesterday. Everybody who did the "we sick of this shit" day. Shout out to all of y'all. People texted me and was like, "Hey, yeah, we did it. Like I took off." I was like, "Yes, yes." So shout out to all of y'all for doing that. I hope you rested and took some time because I think in creating movement, sometimes you know what you want the movement to do, and you know how you want people to move, but you don't exactly know all the impact. And so, in saying that and thinking about that, I'm excited to have this conversation. I'm calling it a business roundtable, and I welcome in some amazing women CEOs and good folks in the world who understand both sides. When people ask me like, what's one of the hardest things about me leading Black Girl Ventures, is really that part of it is that I have to lead and be impacted at the same time. So, like, okay, somebody kills a Black person in the street, or some wrongdoing happens, or some uprising that we all want to have. It's like, I'm mad too, but at the same time, I got to run this company and I got to keep these founders encouraged and I got to invest and I got to look at finances and I got to think about things from an economic standpoint. And I got to come here and like tell y'all the news and be like, hey, so such is this the layers and complexities of being Black in America. And so I'm excited to bring a few Black women CEOs to the table. With me, joining me for the business roundtable this morning, I have Latoya Stirrup. She's the CEO and founder of Cosmology, and I'm sure you have seen her hair tools in stores everywhere. And then we have Anika Hobbs. She is the founder CEO of Nubian Human. And Hime Egme will be joining us as well. She's the CEO of Sweet Kiwi. We have Christian Edwards, the founder, CEO of Black and Green. And we have Kendra Woolrich, the founder, CEO of Janet and Joe. So I gave a little bit of preview before the break around the reasons why I brought all these amazing, brilliant minds together this morning. Part of that is just giving a perspective of the boycotts from actual business owners, the people who are actually in the stores and people who actually own marketplaces. Because people are like, you know what? We should just start our own store. We should start our own marketplace. So I have Christian Henderson here who has Christian Edwards, I'm sorry, who has her own marketplace, and I have Anika Hobbs here who has had two stores and understands it still has one. And then people like, yeah, but like, we just gonna buy from their website. We're not gonna buy from retail. We're just gonna go all buy from them. And I'm like, yeah, I think that's cool, but let's talk about retail strategy. And so I want to talk to Latoya and Kendra and Nahime when she joins us about that, because why get into retail in the first place? I don't think people understand that. Can this moment sort of last in a sense of like, is it just an uprising and then now we shut down the stores and now what? So I'm gonna stop there and I'll bring y'all in to answer some of these questions. First, I just want to ask overall, from a business owner perspective, what are your overall thoughts about boycotting retail as a strategy or as a movement, I guess you can say, to create positive impact? Anybody can go first.
So I'm all about voting with your dollar. So like the boycotting energy comes deep through Black and Green. So I get it. I understand it, and I want people to feel empowered to spend their money in a way that aligns with their spirit. So I get it. I understand it. But I want us to also understand the business moves and how it impacts everything. Because sometimes I think that we move off of emotions without fully understanding the impact of things. And so I love the emotion. Like let's do something with that emotion, but let's understand what we're doing with it.
Yeah, Anika, go ahead.
Yeah, I feel like it's a yes and. I think we've had this conversation about just boycotting altogether and what that means. And for Nubian Human as a retailer, I would love for everybody to start choosing to shop with us. I would love for everybody to redirect their energy from those mass retailers into the small businesses that are providing for our unique needs as consumers. I think, that just makes sense. But at the same time, we understand that we need to have some of these larger retailers in order to market some of these smaller brands, to bring them to neighborhood deserts where I don't have the reach to physically have, I can't physically or unable at this time to physically build a store in these places. So I think for me, it's a yes, and we can continue to boycott, but I think we should continue to buy those brands that speak to our unique needs in mass retailers and continue to buy from smaller brands like ourselves.
So, Toya, you're in a couple stores now. I know you're in Claire's. I know
Yeah.
you're in Walmart, and
Mm-hmm.
I know you're in. Are you? I feel like I just saw you in Target. Not you personally, but the brand.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Um, wait, hold. I'm gonna come back to you. Let me go to Kendra because I got like a
I knew
big
you were
question I want
coming.
to. I'm like, I got a big question. Kendra, for you, do you aspire to go into bigger retail? And like when you see things like this, does it make you like, I don't know?
That's a really good question. So when I launched, that was the plan, big box retail, mass retail. And that changed after doing smaller retail. My strategy changed based off of my product. It's very When I think of boycotts, you do have to have a plan and you have to be intentional. I think there's an adverse effect on brands that are in these stores when you're boycotting those stores. It is very expensive to have your products in those stores. It is expensive to push your products in those stores, maintain them. And then if those products are returned to you, that also hurts your company. So my strategy changed, coming back to your original question, where my goal currently is not mass retail because one, sales is the number one thing. And so I focus on where my customer is. And because I'm in a unique space, I'm in a niche market, I'm not currently pushing for mass retail, but there's pros and cons with everything. Um, I think it's very damaging, for lack of better words, to just all out boycott a retailer with the intention to support Black and Brown owned brands. Those brands are in those retailers as well. And sometimes going directly to the website is not beneficial. Um, as a smaller brand, I keep a website as a shell, really. Yes, we fulfill sales on that website, but that's not my main traffic driver. And my goal is not to fulfill sales through my website. It's just to show, hey, we have a presence. If you want to learn more about us, you can come to the website. But I focus more so on our outlets, such as salon retailers. So in that conversation, as far as your goals, you have to think about the size of your company, what you can actually support, and in the event of something like this happening, how do you pivot? Does your company
Mhm.
have the ability to actually pivot?
I love what you said about the website being a shell. I'm gonna get back to that because that's a really good one. When people say like, "Oh, you just buy from their website." I mean, yeah, you can, but is that the greatest source of sales for people? Maybe, maybe not. Um, okay, Toya. So you are in a few different retailers. I'm really curious. It's like when you just heard like, "Oh, we gonna boycott the retailer." Like, what was your initial feeling or thought?
Yeah, no, I'm just going to say that this is a very layered and complicated conversation because, as you mentioned, when you opened up, right, as people, we get it, right? We totally understand the emotion of it. When we hear it, we're like, wait a minute, what do you mean? Like, how can you do this at this point? What's all of this energy? Where's all this energy coming from? So when I heard it, me, the Black person in me, was like, okay, I hear it, I understand it. The founder in me, who's in store, right? So we're in big box, we're also in smaller retailers as well as salons. So we have different points of distribution. And I was like, to me, boycotting oftentimes is almost a given reaction when you talk about the Black population, right? We often go to boycott as like, we're going to just not buy anymore.
So when you think about sort of the national understanding of what the Black consumer's response is, it's almost like, okay, we expect you to boycott. So when you talk about that, then you talk about these big retailers who understand consumer behavior. You almost know that they did a risk assessment and we're like, they're going to do this. We understand it. But then after the energy dies down, most likely they're going to come back, because at the end of the day, these big retailers are where you go to get your things. You go to Walmart, you go to Target, not just to support Black businesses, but that's where you get your toilet paper, your paper towels, and everything else. And to your point, what you said when you opened up, like, Black marketplaces have been in existence. We're on Black marketplaces, we're in Black retailers. And so the consumer behavior to completely shift and change and just only buy in those spaces is a big ask, because it hasn't happened yet to the point of where it's a tipping point to where that's the only place where we buy. Like, that's not the consumer behavior. So the dip that's happening right now is a detrimental dip, because as Black brands, you have to sell a certain amount of products to stay on shelf. And if you don't sell, then that gives the retailer the opportunity to pull you off shelf. And so I think what we had a conversation is that consumers don't understand that when a product goes on sale and on clearance, the brand pays for that. It doesn't hit the retailer, the brand pays for that. So when you see a product that was on shelf that's now on clearance and is about to exit, that means that that's money that the brand has to pay and cover. Is not hurting the retailer, because the retailer is going to be made whole in that exchange and in that contractual agreement. So some people have different contracts. As brands, we can't go into details about our specific arrangement, but as a whole, that's how it works. So when you talk about boycotting for 40 days, that's a lot of time that a particular brand may not get sales if you are their primary consumer. And for a lot of us, we wanted to get into these retail spaces so we can provide you with opportunities to shop diverse products and different brands that you may not have had access to. So when you talk about not shopping there anymore, it's like, okay, wait a minute. Whoa, I thought we wanted to be in these places so we could be diverse and be on shelf and show our culture and get more access points. So then it's like, we can't just, like, throw the baby out with the bathwater in the midst of all these things that are happening. So that's what I'm saying. It's a really, really, really big conversation. And
Oh my
the
God,
point,
wait. You just blew my mind about something.
Yeah.
Because, hold up.
Me too.
Is boycotting actually anti-diversity? So let's talk about it. Hold up. So with the idea is like, oh, they're banning BEI, so we're not gonna shop there anymore. But the potential impact is we don't shop there anymore. Now the Black-owned brands can't fare through the 40 days or 80 days or 90 days of boycotting. And then there's no Black brands there anymore. And then then it's like, oh, well, now there's no black brands or very little Black brands that can fare through it. And now we got a diversity problem all over again. Because this is what I think is interesting about the, like, well, they're banning DEI, we're upset about that, and so therefore we're going to boycott, is that if those Black brands go away, then it's going to appear to be, and I'm not saying that this has happened before because I don't know, there's going to need to be another effort to be able to get them back that now creates some type of, like, now the store thinks it's viable enough to bring them back. Right, because now it's like, oh, well, nobody was buying it. The Black folks got mad, they pulled out. Another thing you said was about patient capital. You didn't use this language, but I use this language when I'm hiring people, which is the stores can fare through a boycott for the most part. Like, it's like, okay, we know that people are going to get upset about this thing or that thing, so they're going to react this way. They have done it over time. Some stores may shut down, like smaller stores, which I think people should be concerned about near them. But, okay. We'll fare through it. Can the brands fare through it? I'm curious, Anika, from your standpoint, and having a store and having brands be a part of your store. Also, Christian, is one could be for you as well. Even on a smaller retail level, what are actual brands going through when they're trying to scale up through getting into stores? Like, what kind of things have you seen the brands that you work with try to push through, or like, some of the aid that they've needed, or like what is their actual experience when you're getting into retail?
Oh yeah, that's one of my favorite parts. This is why we started. I think when you're a new brand, you're trying to understand your business, right? So if you're working with a small business like myself or Christian, um, I think there's a unique opportunity because us as retailers, we have a level of insight that we can provide, small retailers that we can provide your brand that some of these larger retailers don't provide, right? So we find that a lot of these smaller brands are going through number one, runway. So there's not a lot of opportunity to try, iterate, pivot. There's not a lot of that, right? We also find that a lot of these brands don't know how to market or know uh, their new unique value. I think a lot of the brands say, okay, I'm going to make shea butter. Well, what makes your shea butter unique? I'm making t-shirts. Well, what makes your t-shirt stand out from somebody else? Is it the weight? Is it the design? Is it the cut? Anything. And so when you're working with smaller businesses like us, we can provide you that feedback quickly because our consumers tell us in person, one-on-one, we get that information. But I think for a lot of brands, they're learning what works. And so having smaller businesses like us, smaller retailers, it gives them an opportunity to try. It gives them an opportunity. If a nail polish brand is popping with a new color, let me try this here. And we can tell you this new color is really resonating with our audience. And so I think a lot of brands are going through that and they're trying to figure out what sort of catalog that they can have that they can scale up with and then move into, what do I have the best margins with? What are consumers connecting to that they can scale up and then take to a mass retailer? Um, so yeah, I think there's a lot of opportunity with us working with the smaller brands, but the biggest thing I've seen is the runway. We whole understand that, smaller brands, when they get into these mass markets, when you see them on the end caps, when you see their sign on the shelves, and Latoya, you can tell me if this is not right or true, they're paying for that. There's marketing that they pay for marketing in Target. They pay for marketing in Walmart. There's no corporate person saying, oh, we love this brand, let's put it in front of anybody. So I think when we're like the test kitchens for smaller brands, so we get to understand what the opportunities are, what their wins are, what can work in certain markets. And so I think that that's a really special and place for us to be. I can even speak to Christian and I talked years ago. We both were selling honey pot years ago,
Years ago.
before the pandemic. And we started strategizing on like maybe we buy wholesale together so that we can pull down our costs. Because we know certain things. We know if the tampons work. We know if they need wings. We know all the things before, and we can provide that to those brands before the actual mass consumer.
Yeah.
What I love about this is having people think in a portfolio mindset, right? Like having people thinking that like where I shop is a collection of places, right? And so when we talk about shifting our shopping energy, right? Because that's how I put it, and where we want to invest our dollars at intentionally, I think that it's a yes and to what Nika was saying earlier. Like it is shop here and shop there. It is shop them and shop them. It is like understanding that like all these things need to exist and then figuring out our sort of portfolio of how we're gonna shop. Now, Christian, I want to ask you because the first thing people say is, well, let's just start where is our black marketplace? Why don't everybody just start a marketplace? I've heard that so many times. I'm like, y'all are tripping. Okay, like I don't know what it takes to run a marketplace. So run us down a little bit of like what does it actually take to run a marketplace? Because for some reason, everybody's minds. You know what I mean? Oh, we don't need Amazon. Just wait a minute, time out. So, Christian, talk to us about what does it take to run a marketplace?
Oh, yeah. I love that question. There's something that you said that hit me that the retailer is always going to win because when they run in sales, they're going to hit the brands in. And I was like, that's what they do? Because it hits me. I said, I'm not running my retail right. But then I kept thinking about it. That's why brands like to be on Black and Green because they know that I'm going to wrap them in a different way. I'm going to, whether their product sell or not, they're going to still get paid. And so
Wait, time out. What? whether whether they're brand sell or not, how do they still get paid? I don't understand that part. Tell
net,
me.
net 30 days, I pay them for the full PO, no matter what sells off my shelf.
Like a traditional retail mark.
And
Got it.
I purposely designed it that way because I know it's small Black women who are trying to start businesses. They're trying to get capital. If I can't move through their products and I try to take money back from them and try not to give them money, it's going to impact them. And so we are a social enterprise. I want to wrap around you to see you grow and develop. So I made my terms in that way to try to help them grow and develop. And so when I put their stuff on sale because it's not moving, that don't hit them. That hits me.
You know what? One second. Can you let's slow that down because we know everything we're talking about right now, we all know here. But I don't want to take for granted that people actually even know how retail works. And I should have started with that. Like so
Okay, perfect.
and
shout out to
Anika. Shout out to Anika because that's how I got into retail because of her. Because I didn't know nothing. I was like, "What a line sheet? I'm supposed to do what with that?" So it wasn't for her being so patient with me and helping me understand how retail works. I don't know. I probably would have never gotten to retail. So shout out to Anika for that. Okay, go ahead, Christian. Tell us, run it down. Like, how does retail work? And then how does that is that model different for a marketplace or no?
It can be. So it depends on the way that the retailer wants to work. So the way that we work is we do 50% of MSRP. We don't do the traditional line sheets where you say, here's my MSRP, here's what I'm going to charge my retailer, here's my line sheet so you do with it. We don't do that. We say, here's your MSRP. We're paying you 50% of whatever your MSRP is. You can't
What's
set
MSRP stand for?
Oh gosh. Nika, what does it stand for?
Like the
Suggested retail price.
Yep. It's just your regular retail price.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes. I want to know what the letters stand for, which I didn't know. I just
It's
know
your
retail.
manufacturing suggested retail price.
There we go.
Manufacturing suggested retail price. You know, you were today years old when you now know what the acronym MSRP stands for.
Thank you. I know it's
Say me too. I'm saying somebody out there too. Me too. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
And so the way that we organize is 50% off of MSRP. And so we buy their products, but we do under net 30. And so we send you a PO, say, here's the amount that we want for a purchase order. So we send you a purchase order saying, here's how amount we want of each of your products. After we test and we try, we send them the purchase order. They ship us the products to our warehouse. In 30 days, we pay them the full purchase order that they sent us. Regardless of what we sell, regardless of what we don't sell. And that's completely different than the way a lot of retailers work.
Wait, okay, Anika, how does your store work? Is it similar or how do you usually buy?
Yeah, it's pretty much similar. We purchase wholesale the same way. We send them a purchase order. We do wholesale pricing. Sometimes we're not able even to do 50% just because some of our brands are so much smaller. That's also another thing that makes it difficult. That when you're running a smaller business, your cost of goods are higher, right? Because you're not able to buy huge volumes. Let's say you're buying huge vats of an oil from China, you're able to do that. So your cost per item is going to be less. Whereas we're working with smaller brands, so their wholesale prices are a lot higher than other businesses, especially if they're not a large volume business. But I purchase the same way, wholesale from the businesses. And like Kristen said, like if it's not moving in my store, we take that cut. We do have some brands that are on consignment, so we'll hold their stock. Once the stock sells, then we'll give them a portion of we take a percentage, they take a percentage of once it sells. But if I run a sale and I'm holding your stock under consignment, which is a smaller portion of my entire retail business, then I still take that cut. So, but the biggest thing, as Kristen even mentioned, I'm invested in these businesses, right? I am invested in the success of these businesses. So this is beyond the dollar. My bottom line, my accountant, everybody's probably pissed off that I feel and say this, but For me, it's like, I want you to win. I want you to see that track of, okay, we got the data, we have the insight, we have the analytics to then take this to a larger retailer and open up the market for that brand. That's what I believe that we are here to do. Until I can have 70, 100 stores across the US or across the world, it's not going to happen by being a Nubian human all by itself. And so
Mm.
that's why I am so adamant about the yes. And I still want to shop, even me, who I can buy their products wholesale and use them myself, but I still want to go in the store and I still have the pleasure and the excitement of going in and buying Black-owned brands at my convenience at these mass retailers. I can
I
boycott
love that.
everything else in every other aisle, but I think it's up to us to still, as consumers, Black consumers, with this 1.7 trillion that we have, by 2030, we need to continue to buy mass retailers and small retailers.
I love that. We got to go to a quick break. We'll be right back. You listen to the Business Roundtable. I'm Omi Bell. We'll be right back after this.
All right, everybody, top of the hour, all clear, all clear.
Oof, we can talk about this all day. Somebody wants to make a comment. We'll see what they got to say. But Kendra, I'm coming to you when I come back because I want to talk about like getting into the market. Like what is the buying like from the salon side? I don't know that side.
It's wholesale.
So how do it's just wholesale?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, okay. But you're not worried about selling or anything like that after that.
No, and it gives you, elaborate, but yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm curious. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Christian.
I was trying to figure out a way that Black and Green could work with salons, but the issue is what I take is the same thing they want, so ain't no real like, ain't no way to get
Actually, that's a good idea though, because a lot of the salons I'm in, they're clean. They have non-toxic products, and some of them also do body care. So it's not just nail products. And I never thought of that, of redirecting them to a Black wholesaler, if you will,
exactly.
or just even how can I say it, a database where they could find other brands. I never
Exactly.
thought about that.
And I was thinking about doing it like if
1 minute, everybody.
they're used to getting a 50-50 split, and then if they work with me, it might be a 25 split. I don't know if
Yeah,
they
I was gonna.
no,
That's what I was gonna say.
Even if
Well,
it's you.
Well, it's the key. The kicker would be, do they want to get distribution? So it would almost be like your record company kind of, you have to look at that sort of model. Like, where it's like, okay, well, yeah, you can be here or you can be independent, but like, do you want to get the distribution? You want distribution through these 5 spots, then it's going to say this amount. If not, cool, we can go the regular route we were going. You know what I mean? You might look at just diversifying the model versus choosing one.
Or even for
20 seconds.
the salons that are like really kind of green focused, having like a certification process to where it's like Black and Green certified.
I like that.
That's a good
That's
idea.
good.
Everybody, 10 seconds remaining. Stand by.
So good.
That is real good. I like that.
You looking for a job?
Now
Girl, we always
more
working,
from
listen.
Omi Bell on Urban View Mornings. Sirius XM's Urban View, where talk empowers and becomes action.
Don't stress through the night at a time, and my life ain't worried about if you feel it. Got my head on straight, I got my vibe right. I ain't gonna let you kill it. See, I won't change my life. My life's just fine.
Welcome back. Am I back? Oh, welcome back. Hello. It's Tuesday, March 11th. I'm Omi Bell. You listen to Urban View Mornings, and I'm here with some amazing CEOs. Latoya Syrup, the CEO and co-founder of Cosmology. Anika Hobbs, the founder, CEO of Nubian Human. Christian Edwards, the founder of Black and Green. And Kendra Woolrich, founder, CEO of Janet and Joe. And we're here talking about the boycott from a business perspective and just talking about what it means for brands to be in retail. But you know what? I love community because if you put us together, we ain't even been together that long. You know what I'm saying? We already came with a whole new business model for somebody. So that is, that is, we gonna figure out how to make some money. Let's be clear about that. We gonna figure out how to make some money, how to make some money with each other, how to help each other make money. Which is that's why I love the work that Christian is doing and the work that Anika is doing with the brands, because I think wrapping our arms around these brands is so important, and it's just so key. So